Quickly though, just quickly, if you do have a question at all, feel free just to chime in. I'm more than happy to answer questions. And in a way, I kind of feel it's better if there's a bit of back and forth here, because otherwise it can just sound like me talking to a screen. But yeah, a bit of background about, I guess, the Flyfisher. I started working there, well, a long time ago, just casually when I was at uni. Eventually, the opportunity came to buy the business from Jim Allen, who started the business in 1967. More recently, we have moved from the CBD location to South Melbourne. Did COVID precipitate that move? Well, yeah, it did. You know, I think we started to realise that if we were going to offer the range that we wanted to offer, we needed more space to do that. And probably more importantly, the parking situation in the CBD was no good. You know, people wanted to be able to drive in, park a car, run in, grab what they need, and then go again. So we moved to South Melbourne. It was a lot of work, I guess, to find the location and, of course, then do the move itself. I can't see us ever moving again. You know, like it's just so much work, and I think everyone probably only has one good move in them. As in, you know, in this business and me owning this business, I don't ever want to be doing that again. I think where we're setting ourselves up is for the long term, and it's got everything that we could ever want. We've basically found a space that we can tailor and customize to our needs and to obviously you guys' needs as well. You know, there's plenty of space there for tying flies and having a drink and generally just talking fishing. So it's got everything we could ever want. And I guess, you know, before I just say everything, I will share my screen here and just bring up the PowerPoint presentation. So I'll share that. That's just opening now. This is the space before we moved in, just to give you some kind of idea of what we were dealing with in the beginning. We had some unbelievable help from some really great people throughout this project, but this was the blank canvas that we were dealing with to begin with. So it was an F45 gym before we moved in. It sort of had the square footage that we were looking for, and it was a nice big open space that we could just turn into whatever we wanted it to be. So that's what it was looking like, and this is what it looks like today. So a lot of work obviously went into it. We had Kyle Jones from Millbrook Lakes. He's a chippy was a chippy by trade prior to becoming a fishing guide, and so he was a huge help. Also works with us part-time. But you know, I guess a lot of work, not just in all the construction side of things, but just moving the stock in, and couldn't have done it without the help of one of your fellow members in Ross Caden, of course. He was massive through all that. But we're there now. We're set up 100%. And sadly, you know, just as we was kind of ready to hit the ground running, of course, another lockdown. So I think not just with the business space, but also in our fishing minds, you know, like we plan these trips and these days you just don't know if it's all going to pan out and you're going to be able to do the trip that you plan. And similar to this, you know, we did everything, all the work was done, and then the carpet was pulled out from underneath us. But fortunately, you know, like business wise, the mail order side of our business is pretty strong, and so we're able to still turn up and work and trade, and fortunately, with enough of us working there, we can still talk fishing and have a good time. So for us, a real relief from otherwise pretty, I guess, shitty time to be in. But so this is the new space here. I'm just going to bring up a bit of a video. I really wanted to, I guess, show you guys around the shop in a way, things you can't get in there and check it out yourselves. I thought it might be fun just to 11 Moray Street in South Melbourne. So really nice mural on the front of the building here by a gentleman by the name of Mike Nakatron, who's pretty well known in street artist circles, but he's got a beautiful piece on the front of Melbourne Aquarium as well. But Here we are. Let's enter the shop. We've got the bar on the left here. So eventually we're going to be serving beer, espresso coffee, gin and tonic, wine, whatever you might like. And we're going to have this table set up with some fly tying gear on it and rotate through a new fly every week or two with the materials there so that you can come in, sit down, tie a fly, talk some rubbish with us and have a bit of fun. But just going to give you a real brief sort of look through the shop here, and don't want to spoil it for you for when you actually do get a chance to come in, but we've got all our fly tying range along the right-hand wall there, plenty of Yeti stuff, tippets and leaders, all your accessories, lots and lots of clothing. The clothing range now will expand, already has expanded by about 50%, which is great. All your vests, packs, hats, waders, and beautiful Orvis display there, custom built by Kyle Jones at Millbrook Lakes there. He's done a fantastic job. All your neoprene socks and buffs over there. And here's the rod rack that we actually, pretty much the only thing that we brought over from the old shop, but fits in this space beautifully. We've added to that with some custom built outfit racks along this wall here. And we've got all our Euro nymphing rods along there as well. We've got another one coming to put some cod specific outfits on there as well. But the new sunglass rack from Smith Optics, and then over here we've got all our fly boxes and flies, nets and everything. The fly range itself is going to be expanding by roughly 30%. So this new fly display here in the centre only just arrived. So Max is ticking away there and getting it all filled up for us, doing a fantastic job. And so this is it, guys. Obviously, hurts us not being able to have you in here right now, but really hoping that once things open up, you can all pass a visit. But really look forward to pouring you a drink at the bar and introducing you to the new space. Thanks, guys. So yeah, that was, I mean, obviously the shop there is in a bit of a state of disarray, just being a bit more of a mail order distribution centre at the moment. But I just wanted to give you guys a bit of a walkthrough and just show you what I guess all that hard work on our end is translated to. And we really have been doing it for you guys, you know, like, yeah, sure, it's a great place to turn up and work, but we've designed it in a way that we want it to be a space that fly fishers just want to hang out, talk fishing, and find all the gear that they could ever want. But, you know, obviously we can't wait and, you know, to get you guys in there and do what we love doing. You know, like the whole reason we sell fly fishing gear and have the shop that we've got is so that we can talk fishing. You know, that's really what it's all about. You know, like at the moment we're turning up to work and we're just packing orders, sending them out, and it's just missing something key, something that is the fundamental reason why we do what we do. But no doubt things will open up and there'll be that opportunity to get in, and I hope that we can help you in some small way very, very soon. But I thought I might just talk a little bit about maybe your options, given the lockdowns, the likelihood of some domestic travel, the not so likelihood of you being able to travel to places like New Zealand. Definitely you need some kind of backup plan. There's a couple of books that you obviously really should own if you're a Melbourne-based fly fisher. That's Fly Fishing Western Victoria and Fly Fishing Northeast Victoria by Philip Weigel. There's some absolute gems of information in these books. And, you know, the Northeast Guidebook was published, I think, 3 years ago now. The Western Victoria book, less than 12 months ago. They're up to date. You know, the thing that you're going to notice in the pages of these books, though, is it leaves the door pretty open. You've kind of got to interpret what might happen in a year like we're currently having with lots of water around, cool temperatures from the previous 2 summers. The lakes in the west in particular are just going to be an absolute standout. So one of the things that I think it's always is good to look at is lake stocking. If you jump onto the Inland Fisheries Victoria website, you'll be able to get all the up-to-date information as to what's been stocked. This is just a bit of a snapshot. So I think it was 2019, you had about 1.1 million salmonids that got stocked around Victoria. 2020, 1.3 million trout. So it's pretty big. Like, the opportunities there at the moment, given such solid water levels, if you're going to look at the lakes, and obviously springtime's when you really ought to be doing that, it's we're in bloody good shape. It's as good as I can ever remember. If you've got that Fly Fishing Western Victoria book, the kind of waters that you should be looking for are the ones that are written up as only being good in wet years and on the back of previous wet years. So they're the gems. That's where you're going to find a trophy trout through this spring. Just to point out, I mean, you guys have got a handle on the Victorian trout fishery already, and I know that I'm just probably boring the pants off a lot of you, but to the few that maybe don't or haven't thought about the various areas and the best of trout fishing in Victoria, you've got those once in a blue moon lakes, I like to call them, out in the Western District, which is, as I mentioned, is where you should really be thinking about for this time of year. You've got the Eildon catchment, which is very well publicised. You're all very familiar with Stevenson, Goulburn, Acheron, all those waters. A little bit further in the northeast, you've got that Bright area, the Ovens and so on. Anglers Rest, the Upper Midder, Bundarra, all those waters, and then West Gippsland there as well. So it's there's so much good trout fishing in Victoria, and whilst it may not feel like the best place in the world to be right now, I can tell you that as far as a good proximity to some sensational trout fishing, you're in one of the best cities in the world. So maybe that just ignites a little fire in your belly to maybe explore one of these other areas that you maybe not so familiar with. But I can tell you some bloody sensational fishing out there, and it's, with the year that we're having, plenty of water around, it should be well worth it. If you are looking for a guide throughout those various areas, they're struggling too, like through this COVID shit, it really has made things difficult for the fishing guides. They're kind of going through this boom and bust phase, but there's only so many days in the week that they can guide. So do yourself a favour as well as them, and book a guide. Obviously, Wilderness Fly Fishing, you've got Kyle Jones and Scott Xanthalakis there. They can guide all throughout the northeast as well as Millbrook Lakes, of course. So if you're thinking northeast Victoria, day trip from Melbourne, they're your option. If you do want to go and see some of the smaller streams in West Gippsland, give Corey a buzz at Fly Addiction. He's got a better handle on those small streams in West Gippsland than anyone else I know. Some secret spots there, plenty of Polaroiding if that's what you want to do. Not known for a big fish area, but as far as quantity of fish and exploring just some truly remarkable parts of Victoria, well worth it. Then, of course, if you went up to Bright, you've got Cam McGregor at River Escape. So Cam, I reckon, is one of those guys that has the best sort of package. Like, if you really wanted to experience the best of Victorian fly fishing, mixing it with cod and trout is the key to doing that. So Cam's the guy that can do that. He's based in Myrtleford, so the Oven's not far from his place, and the Kiwa, Mulwala, plenty of waters. And he probably has a better, as far as the cod fishing goes on fly, I don't think anyone's got it as well dialed as he does. And then, of course, around Anglers Rest there, you've got Nathan Vernon at Cruising for Trout. So you'll find him on Instagram. Bit of a lesser known guide who's just getting going in that area. But it's nice to have someone that's sort of there, knows the area really well. He's got a log cabin and spends a lot of time up there, and has for a long time, and knows the fishery really, really well. So if you want someone to take you it's a fair drive to get there, but well worth it. Probably the closest thing to New Zealand style fishing that you're going to experience in Victoria. Just before everyone sort of started tuning in, we were talking briefly about Albert Park Lake, but it has recently been stocked. I think this photo here of the rainbow on the right, that's only a day or two old. So lots of big trout that have been stocked in there, and well within everyone's 5 kilometre radius, you know, from Albert Park Lake. But of course, Port Phillip Bay as well. We've got Red Tag's very own Ross Caton pictured here holding a lovely flathead that he's caught on fly, just off Frankston there. But there are some great saltwater fly fishing opportunities in Port Phillip Bay. You've just got to go looking for it and put the time in, you know. Small Australian salmon and flatties have probably been the main target. But if you've got any questions about maybe giving that sort of stuff a go, then definitely hit Ross up or give us a buzz at the shop, and we'll put you on to Ross and you can have a good chat to him. Should we be able to travel a little bit further than Victoria? These are the saltwater fisheries that I think are the best, as in not too hindered by weather. You can normally scratch up fish, and a pretty unique sort of fly fishing experience in saltwater, if you like. But Hinchinbrook Island is probably one of the more reliable places, and it is because it gets protection from the prevailing easterly wind there. You've always got shelter, and that's the difference. Like a lot of this East Coast fishing, and you know, Gladstone I put there, but tentatively, it is a great fishery, and on its day, you know, no doubt fantastic, but it's pretty exposed. So you kind of got to roll the dice if you're going to do a trip to a place like that. Albany Island, this is off the tip of Cape York, a beautiful place to go and fish. You can wade flats there. They've got boats you can use, and really just coming on the boil now. I think there was an article published in Fly Life maybe a couple of issues ago, so you can look at that one up there. Weipa and west of the Cape, including the Wessels, that's probably the pick in terms of variety of fish, huge expanse of water that's just teeming with life. There, it's remote, and it can be a little bit exposed when it comes to the weather, but overall, it's probably the #1 saltwater fly fishing destination in the country and has been for a long time. Bynoe Harbour, I think, you know, Bynoe's, if you lived in a place like Darwin, Bynoe would no doubt be the #1 place that you'd go and fish with a fly rod. Skinny water, sight fishing for barramundi, that kind of thing. Really great fishery, but probably more something that you wouldn't travel specifically to do. You might just do it if you were in the Northern Territory in Darwin and wanted to experience some of the saltwater fly fishing there. Tiwi Islands, I didn't put that there, but that just springs to mind too. That is an incredible fishery, and if you can get there and do it one day, then I'd strongly encourage you to. Saratoga, long-tailed tuna, barra, everything you could ever want, really. Exmouth, of course, again, a little bit exposed to the weather somewhat, but everything from billfish to bonefish, what's not to like about Exmouth? It's great. So another really good option in Australia that you could travel to and do, hopefully, you know, maybe after Christmas. Who knows? I'm done guessing. So I guess that sort of sums up the fishing component of what I wanted to talk to you guys about, more just to get you a little bit more enthusiastic about maybe the options that we've got in Australia here or close to home, because we've got it pretty bloody good. And I think we always have this thing where we think the grass is always greener, and it'd be jumping on a plane to go somewhere to experience great fishing, but it couldn't be further from the case. So yeah, that sums that bit up. And now I just want to talk a little bit about some of maybe the better gear that we've had coming in at the moment. And it's interesting because the gear side of things hasn't slowed down one bit. There's still a lot of new stuff coming out. I think there was a small sort of speed bump there last year, maybe, where a lot of companies were holding off releasing new products, but now the floodgates have opened. I think in America, where 23 million people fly fish and counting, their industry is absolutely booming, to the point where we're struggling to buy the stock that we want. We're pretty much taking whatever stock they'll send us at the moment. So it's good news. It means that the industry overall is flourishing, and you're going to see new and better gear coming out all the time over the next year or two. But some gems in our reel range at the moment: the Orvis Mirage LT, certainly at the premium end, made in the US, totally waterproof drag system, very lightweight. Probably what I would say is the perfect balance between being both lightweight as a rugged reel that is going to withstand a whole lot of abuse. As you trickle down the range, you've got the Vision XLV. This is probably the entry point to a truly large arbor, lightweight, fully machined fly reel. And then you've got the new Vision Hero reel. So a lot of you guys would probably remember the old Lamson Waterworks Conic, and more recently the Lamson Waterworks liquid reels. These are injection molded cast aluminium reels, and they're great. The Lamson version are fantastic. This is in the same kind of vein as those reels, lighter in weight though, and they have the reel foot is lowered to the center of the reel, so you're achieving a much better balance on the rod. Great drags in them and very affordable. So they're another one to check out that are brand spanking new. I think, we all everyone wants more for their money. That's always been the way, and it always will be. And what we're really starting to see now are some rods in that mid-price range that are, performance-wise, pretty much as good as a lot of that top-end stuff. There's two rods in that $500 price point that I really wanted to point out. One is the Primal Raw. If you want a rod that's got heaps of power, and is going to give you that fast action performance for turning over streamers or indicators, tungsten nymphs, all that kind of thing, then the Primal Raw, it really is a cannon of a rod. They do a Euro nymphing version of this rod as well, which is equally good. But then you've also got the Vision Onky. Now, if you're a reasonable caster but not a great caster, then steering you towards a more medium action rod that's going to give you some better feel, I think is worth doing. And the Vision Onky is it. It's actually built in South Korea, so you're getting a fit and finish in that rod that surpasses any other rod in that price range. It's the cheapest rod built in Korea that you'll find. Really high modulus graphite, great feel. The mustard colored blank is matte and finished, so you're not getting any reflection or anything like that that's going to spook fish. But just one of those rods that you pull out and you cast and you think, oh wow, this has got to be $1,000 fly rod, but it's not. It's a $500 rod. So they're the premium rods on a beer budget that I did want to point out. Talking about Euro nymphing gear, this is, for us, we're seeing it just an explosion of guys that are wanting to pick this up. Everyone's used the single hand rods and little 3-weights and that kind of thing forever. And now they just cannot deny the effectiveness of European nymphing. It is deadly. There's no doubt about that. And it's accessible. You don't need to spend a fortune to get into it, and anyone can do it. Anyone can catch a fish Euro nymphing. And whilst it may not be the preferred way for some people to catch a fish, the reality is if you're having a tough day and not catching much and you just want to scratch fish up, then Euro nymphing is it. It's deadly. And there's a lot of technique involved. There's just as much skill involved in this as there is in normal overhead casting, fishing dry flies or whatever. But a couple of new models. The Sage Sense is the newest, sort of latest and greatest in that mid to high price range, if you like, from Sage at $845. Really good feel in those sensitive tips. 10-foot 6 3-weight and the 10-foot 3-weight are the ones that we probably suggest for fishing the northeast. The other rod, of course, is the Sage ESN. That's sort of their top end Euro nymphing rod. So it's nice to see that there's some more mid-range price pointed gear that's going to give you that high level of performance as well. If you are just after a lower cost option to get into it. This is going to give you, you're going to catch 90% of the number of fish that you might catch fishing the Sense or the ESN if you've got a Cortland nymph. At $3.99, they are a bargain. The Sage ESN reel, I can't remember, but from memory, they're about a $700, $800 reel. They've got little counterbalances built into them. A lot of innovation went into that, and they were the first to just you put in these counterbalances to achieve perfect balance in your Euro nymphing outfit. That same idea and technology, they've fairly recently released into the Redington tilt reels. It comes with, I think, 3 different counterbalances that you can position wherever you want on the reel to get that perfect balance. So the Euro nymphing reels are very specific. Like there's you can by all means fish a normal 3-weight reel, but you're just not going to get that same level of balance and performance out of the complete outfit. I think to digress a little bit, the Waterworks lamps and center axis, they kind of went into designing that thing as why should the rod and the reel be separate components? And this is coming back to that. This is developing a reel that's more designed to get the most out of the rod rather than the reel just being that storage device at the end of the rod. If you're after something at a lower price point to that of the Redington tilt and the new Vision Hero reel, they do a Euro nymphing specific one with a full frame to stop those thin running lines and long leaders getting tangled between the frame and the spool. So really great option in an injection molded cast alloy reel at $2.29. So yeah, Euro nymphing gear, we've got so much of it, new gear turning up all the time. That range is just ever expanding. Euro nymphs, as in, competition inspired tactical flies. Our range is massive. I think last count we had like 600 different patterns specific to Euro nymphing. So when you can come in, check those out and load up on them because they are seriously effective. Really what we're seeing is more weight introduced into smaller profile flies, and they're effective. Those smaller flies, getting them in front of fish, they're always going to fish that bit better. So that range is really, really dialed, and you I guess owe it to yourself to put some in your fly box to make the most of it. One of the other things that we're seeing a bit of an explosion in, and this isn't new by any stretch, this has been happening for a few years now, is the cod, fly fishing for cod in that area of fly fishing. But there is only one rod that has been designed specific for cod fly fishing, and that's the Vision Down Under. So these rods everything that went into them was to develop something that can cast big air-resistant flies. And it is vastly different to an 8-weight or a 9-weight from any of the American manufacturers. They're designed for casting small shrimp patterns, to things like bonefish and flat species, whereas these rods are developed for casting big, chicken-sized flies. Totally different sort of thing. The lines are different, the rods are different. So the Vision Down Under, we've got a bit of a promo. We haven't actually released it to anyone yet, but if you and any of the Red Tag members are interested, we're going to be doing a promo on these Vision Down Under outfits. So you're going to get the Vision Hero reel, a scientific angle sonar Titan fly line. We'd suggest a sink tip as being probably the most versatile for your cod fly fishing, but we can be flexible there if you did want to go for a floating Titan line. 8'4" 9-weight, that's what we'd suggest for the rivers if you wanted to target cod, and then a 9'9" 9-weight for the impoundments. But normally $9.35 down to $5.99 for a full cod package. So maybe if you were thinking, I really want to give cod fly fishing a go, but I don't have the gear for it, well, here's the perfect stepping stone into it. And probably more than that, this is a premium outfit at an unbelievable price. I've harped on about the high and dry floatants enough probably, but it's just such a good product. One of those few standout things where you see a company that's just genuinely doing something better than anyone else. It's a company that was started by a few semi-retired chemists, and they've just been able to develop a better chemical in their floatants. So you've got gel, you've got liquid, you've got a powdered floatant they do. what you're going to find is just a more pure, high-performing float than your Luna Quells, your Ginks, any other floating that's on the market for that matter. They don't just say that, they back it up with data. So what you're looking at there is a chart that is a fly that's been sitting in water for 10 minutes, and then they measure the water absorption of that fly. So the high and dry gel, which is probably, you can do better than the gel. The liquid is even better again. But that's comparing it to some of the other major products that you're seeing out there. So keeping your dry flies floating high is fundamental to success. So it's one of those 1%ers that I think really does matter when it comes to gear, and relatively inexpensive for anyone to get. Another category that we're seeing a lot of development in is packs. Now, Orbis have been one of the more exciting companies to watch in this space. You know, really young design team, guys that really do fish and understand gear. So this is their new pack range made from 100% recycled materials, which is another great story in itself. The materials are water resistant, and the way that the pockets are set up in the pack itself make for really easy storage and tackle organisation. On the front of a lot of the sling packs that you'll see there's a tippet bar, so you can load up all your tippets, 3X, 4X, 5X, 6X, for instance, and it's easily accessible on the front of the pack there. They spin as you pull the tippet off. So there's a sling, there's a mini sling, a standard sling, a guide sling, a chest pack, and a waist pack in that particular range. But really is something for everyone there in every size that you could ever imagine, and priced pretty well too. So they're worth checking out. Not to be outdone, Sims in the last week or two have released their new freestone range. So they actually departed from this sort of design a few years ago, and they've sort of come back to it and then re-innovated it. So the rigid material design, where you can fold out a pocket and that then becomes a stage for you to work on while you're knotting a new fly on, for instance. This has been introduced across that whole range. So yeah, on the left there, you've got the sling pack, the waist pack, and then the chest pack on the center image. But the other pack range that they've recently released is the new flyweight range. So it's more a system, if you like. You buy a tactical belt, and then you can customize it and tailor it to however you see fit. But really lightweight gear, extraordinary, like as far as how the thought process, like when you look at this stuff these days, it's insane. You know, it's just so dialed that you can be just that little bit more organized on the water and find exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, incredibly good range from them these days as well. So that they're probably the main sort of exciting bits of gear that we've got at the Flyfisher, and we hope that you guys can come in and check it out soon. Thanks, guys. Any questions?
I think everyone's muted.
Yeah, we're getting back on.
We can't wait to get back in there too.
Ross, is there anything you'd like to add, mate?
No, I think you covered everything really well. No, that's good. No, we're definitely excited to have you all in there and to tie some flies and to just to get you back in the store, I think.
There was a question on there from someone about how long's a nymph rod normally, from Neil Vincent.
Yeah, I think if you want a nymphing rod that you can cast overhead as well as nymph effectively with, you want to go around 10 foot. Or if you're looking for something that's going to be more specific just to nymphing, then 10 foot 6 to 11 foot.
And when you're casting them, are you sort of just more rolling them over? I think you said before was the term, or are they...
Yeah, pretty much. There's a bit of a technique involved in that as well. And it's more a touchy-feely thing than it is like than something you can practice at home, I reckon. But that extra mass in the flies itself does make the casting completely different to casting overhead. So all I'd do is encourage you to, get set up, and then you'll figure that bit out on your own, really. And no doubt you'll be able to talk to some other club members that'll be able to give you some more specific advice on casting those Euro nymph rods.
Andrew, we've got a question here. What is the best floating to use for CDC flies?
Any of the high and dry floatants you can use on CDC. I reckon the liquid from CDC from high and dry, and then blowing that dry. So you put it on it, your fly looks sodden, you blow it dry. I reckon that's as good as you can possibly do. And then after that point, once it's got waterlogged, just a powdered floatant with a desiccant in it to suck that moisture out, and then reapply a powdered floatant to it.
Now, just your trading hours for your shop, once we get sort of back to, I'll call it normal, but you're open Monday to Saturday, are you? Or what's
yeah, Monday to Saturday is the plan. And, you know, at the moment, we're sort of thinking we might open from sort of 6 a.m. through till about 11 p.m, if that suits you guys.
You've gone mad.
Yeah, it's all about convenience, you know. On a more serious note, I think we probably haven't actually got that dialed in yet. You know, we're really wanting to test the water and see what suits you guys, you know. But it's probably going to be 9 till 6 through the week, and then 9 till 2 on a Saturday. The South Melbourne market's a pretty big draw card for where we are. We're only a block from South Melbourne market. And I think on a Saturday they're sort of, you know, 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. or something. So we might extend our Saturday trading hours to fit in more with that.
Great, thanks, Andrew.
What if you want to have a cast? Where can you cast?
Yeah, I actually made a mistake there in that video. I meant to open that door at the back of the building there, but we've got a laneway at the rear of the shop there where you can string up any of the rods on the rack there and take them out for a cast. So that facility was pretty much the thing that sealed the deal on the space when we were looking for the new space.
Yeah, I think it's important when people are buying a rod to be able to actually go out and actually flick it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Any other questions, folks?
When are we allowed to fish again?
$1 million question.
Yeah, Andrew, are you going to stocking switch rods?
No, we're not, Marshall. We, you know, I think that we'd love to. You know, there's no doubt a bit of application for it in Australia, but it's just not the sort of thing that we, not a direction we see. There's not enough people asking for it, to be frank. You know, if we're going to put it in a range, it's a big investment for us, and there's just not enough demand there for it currently. Not to say never, you know, like probably 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that we've got 12 different models in Euro nymphing rods, you know? Yeah. So everything changes every year. But I think the switch and spay thing, it's a pretty specific technique for big water. And I can see the effectiveness of it in some fisheries, but it's niche.
Andrew, a question out of left field here. Justin's asking, is the complete angler staying in the same location?
They are, I believe. Yeah, we don't have a lot to do with those guys for, I guess, quite a while. But yeah, at least their plan is to stay in the CBD. But without, I guess, a single customer through these lockdowns, it's, you know, if they can weather the storm and get back to some kind of, you know, still be trading once things open up, then I really, you know, I feel for them, you know, like that. They don't have the mail order business that we have, and so yeah, but as far as I know, they will continue.
Right. Thanks, Andrew. Any other questions for Andrew?
Andrew might jump in here now. Cheers, mate. That was terrific. You've added a few things to my bucket list. I've been to a few of them. And one of them mentioned was Bino Harbour. Don't make it a go-to destination. Well, I've done that about 4 times now as a go-to destination, staying at the Crab Claw Resort, and it's a pretty nice week to have up there if you want to lay back and go and catch a few fish. Yep. A few of the others I haven't been to. One that the Albany Islands I know nothing about, but you've quirked my interest a little bit now, so thank you for doing that, and curse you, or maybe I'm not quite sure what to do there. great look around your new shop. You must be very proud of it. It looks fantastic. As I said earlier, I've been in and had a quick look around, and as you should never do, you should never, as a bloke like myself, go for a wander around Bunnings or a tackle store without any intent, because it's always going to cost you. Thanks very much for the presentation. Best of luck in, God, let's hope it's a more certain future, the way that we're going with vaccination rates and getting out there. As everyone knows, we're just dying to get out there and do what we've been able to do for a long time. The new normal is going to be who knows what, but let's hope we get there as soon as we can and enjoy it again as we've been able to in the past. So thanks again, Andrew, on behalf of everyone from Red Tag who've joined you tonight. Best of luck and a round of applause for you. Well done, mate.
Could I just ask one question about the parking? Where do you
Marshall.
park?
Yeah, no worries, Marshall. So yeah, there's parking pretty much directly out the front door. It's 2-hour metered parking. I think I've been parked pretty much every day there for the last 5 months, and I've received 2 tickets. So it's not a heavily policed area. I shouldn't be saying that, I guess, but you're pretty safe to park anywhere up the street there. And if you've got to drive 50 metres from the shop to find a park, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I noticed on that that little introduction, I think, Ross, your car was parked right out the front of it.
Yeah, that's right, Barney. Yeah,
exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly.
He gets the Rockstar Park every day. You think he'd leave
I know.
money for the boss.
I complained. I had to park two car parks down when I went there on my first visit, but anyway, it was good.
Yeah, it's typical Ross.
Andrew, we're going to say if you're welcome to hang around and share our meeting, but I'm going to call a 5-minute pause for people to go and do what they need to do. We're going to have our monthly meeting following this. So thank you once again. And
thanks, Barney. If I can just briefly say, really appreciate the support of all the club members, particularly throughout all these lockdowns and everything. You guys are great. In the meantime, click and collect's always an option. Our main, I guess it's just great. I know I feel fortunate that I've got fly fishing in my life through all this shit. I think if you didn't, at least we have fly fishing, eh? So keep the dream alive, guys, but really appreciate you having me.
Well said, Andrew. And thanks again for joining us at reasonably short notice too, I must say. So onward and upward, as they say. So everyone.